Hey everybody, it's me, Nicole Rivera from Stop Writing Alone, mostly on Substack, but also here at the Envy Rivera YouTube channel, where I'm normally sharing prompts with you so that you can get writing on your short stories. But I also have started to want to give you a little behind the scenes on all of the different types of meetings that we have in the Substack writing community. And one of the ones that we had this past week was a poetry prompt party. I've showed you guys writing prompt parties before. If you could look at the channel, you'll see something called Friday Night Writes. That's when we were meeting every single Friday to do writing prompt parties. And I was occasionally recording the full blown writing prompt party with the group and everything so that you could see what was going on. But in the last year, I think it was just in this last year, I started adding poetry prompt parties as well because there are a number of poets in the Stop Writing Alone community. And I was feeling like they were getting neglected, that we weren't doing prompt parties specified or specifically for writing poetry. So the rhythm is exactly the same. We get together, we chat a little bit, we introduce one another. This is all happening on Zoom, and then I pull out a writing prompt from one of my very many tools. Now, lots of my tools, as you can see on my shelf, are geared toward short story writing, but I have started to collect different writing prompt tools. Like you can see here, where is it? The high cubes. I've got some poetry prompt cards. There's some dice that I have aside from the cubes. And then there's books like One Poem a Day. And that's the one that I was using this past week. So One Poem a Day is literally as it sounds. It's like a journal where every single page has a prompt at the top, and you can write your poems right in the book. I do that sometimes. Lots of times I just share the prompt here and write my poem in my writing prompt party notebook. I do have a notebook that's devoted to just writing prompt party stuff. So all of my stuff is in one place before I type it up. Um, and then once I share the prompt with the group, whether it's the high cubes or the book prompt, I set a timer and we keep the time the same. When we do short stories, we do a 15-minute writing sprint. And when we're in a poetry prompt party, we stick to that 15 minutes. The difference that I find between a short story or a really flash writing prompt party and writing poetry and the 15 minutes is that when I'm doing a story and I'm given 15 minutes, I am, you know, just writing as fast as I can to get a first zero ugly draft of something, sketching out an idea. Whereas with poetry, and maybe this is I just don't write epically long poems, I don't know. The 15 minutes gives me enough time to read it over and tweak a couple of things here and there. Nothing, I still need it's still a first draft, but I think poetry, even in this kind of form where we know we're sharing ugly first drafts and stuff, it still needs a little more time. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But the thing is, we have 15 minutes, we write something, and there are times, I will say, there are times that in a poetry prompt party, what I'm writing in those 15 minutes is just ideas of where I would like to write a poem. Or for me, probably because my first sort of doorway into writing is fiction and personal essay and things like that. Sometimes I'm literally just writing out the story idea of the poem, and I know that I'm going to come back and frame it into a poem later. Um, so yeah, we have the 15 minutes. We write, and in whatever form that comes out at the end of the 15 minutes, we then read aloud to one another what we have created. Um, and that's it. And we celebrate what works, what doesn't work. And if I have questions for, what do you guys think I should do with this? Or you have questions or comments, that's all where, it's a safe space to sort of have those discussions. And that's a poetry prompt party. So here we have it. We're here, you and I. We won't really be able to have those discussions. But I did want to give you what I worked on for this week during the poetry prompt party, and that was from the one poem a day. I found this prompt. There's no page numbers here, so I can't even tell you what the heck page it was. But I was just flipping through. I tend to like things that have poetry. For poetry prompts, I tend to gravitate toward prompts that give me word ideas, whether it's one word or a list of words or what have you. And this particular prompt um, did that in a kind of different way. It says, write a poem that repeats the word remain at least 4 times. So it's one word, but you're challenged to write it at least 4 times. And then that seems kind of like open-ended. So if that's enough for you, I would say go for it. Write the poem, topic of your choice, and decide, what you want to do with that. But remain is your word. You want to write it at least 4 times. I felt like I needed a little bit more. I needed a topic, and my brain was like, what am I going to do? The writing prompt party was on Friday, the same day that the photo prompt came out on Instagram. I also had the YouTube prompt. So I was like, wait, I should use one of my other prompts sort of combined with this. And if you didn't see it, the Instagram post, the photo prompt on the Stop Writing Alone Instagram was a snapshot of a side of a pound of coffee, the bag, and it had the phrase, every coffee tells a story. And I said, okay, I don't even know what the heck I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to combine um that's my prompt. The write a poem that repeats a word, remain at least 4 times, and every coffee tells a story. So if that's helpful to you and you want to morph those two together, that can be your prompt. Okay. Otherwise, topic of your choice, writing the word remain 4 times. This is something that if we were if we were live, I would ask you when I gave you the remain, uh writing word remain 4 times, I would say, is that enough for you? Would you like something else? And if you said yes, I would offer up the coffee, because I needed something else. So if it feels absolutely discombobulated right now, that's because you're not here to talk to me. Anyway, I'm gonna um I'm gonna say pause right now, set your timer for 15 minutes, and write what you can, and see what you come up with for a poem. And again, I'm not giving in this particular prompt any sort of structure. We have done, I think it was in December, we really did try to tackle haiku. So we were like, okay, here's our prompt. We used the cubes too. We used the cubes, we rolled the cubes, we got our words, but then we said, okay, let's also follow the rules of haiku. There are times that we throw out and say, okay, this month we want to really tackle iambic pentameter. And here is your prompt. This month is just a prompt, your style of poem, your rules. If you want to add an extra structure to it, completely up to you. But we're gonna just freewheel it. So pause right now and write what you got. And when we come back from the pause, I'll read for you my sloppy beginnings of my poem. So happy writing. Go ahead. Okay, so hopefully you took 15 minutes to really play around with this. And listen, if you took longer or shorter or what have you, completely up to you. Of course, in this scenario, my point here is just to help you write. But there is some really cool stuff that happens when you limit yourself, when you actually put a timer on. And I probably should have said that before we did this, but you'll know for next time, or you'll know when you come join us and you see what kinds of things your brain does when you are put against the timer. It's really I love it, as you can probably tell because I'm doing it all the time. All right, so we finished writing. You have something. I would love to hear it. Please, if you share it somewhere, please tag me so that I can see what you've written with this prompt. In the meantime, I will expose you to whatever the heck I wrote here. No title yet because there's no time for that. I mean, I guess there could have been time for that. I could have spent a little time for that. Maybe, no, I'll think about it. All right, here's the poem. so far. And I was using the poetry prompts of write a poem that repeats the word remain at least 4 times, and combining that with every coffee tells a story. And I don't have any rules or structure here. There's rhyming and then there's no rhyming, and this needs a lot of work. But that's always true. Okay, there we go. I remain steadfast in my belief that every coffee tells a story. Whether black or brown, tan or frothy, everyone has a why for their coffee. I remain faithful to the cup I pour, even as it cools for an hour or more, refusing to dump it down a drain when it's my neglect that caused it to remain. Untouched, undrunk, and forgotten, I take the cold sip and I feel rotten, telling myself a tired story that my coffee has feelings. As if the contents of my mug could feel sad or hurt by lack of love, I give it power beyond its means and therefore continue to pull at my seams, pulling threads that continue to fray every night and every day. Affirmation shall be damned, self-care work feeling canned, because I remain in all my glory, believing my coffee tells a story. And that's all I got in my 15 minutes. So this is, I was able to rewrite it neatly because at the beginning of the 15 minutes, I was writing and scribbling and crossing things out. When I do a writing prompt party for fiction, there's no crossing out. I'm just going, 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 going. Timer goes off and I'm like, I'll read to you whatever this is. But for poetry, I don't know. I guess, like I said, my brain probably just works in shorter spurts for poetry. I get to some sort of ending conclusion point before the 15 minutes is up. And I'm always so grateful because I'm like, oh my God, I can go back and move some things around or what have you. But yeah, so that's it. Maybe the title is Coffee's Bad for Me. Stop drinking coffee. I don't know. All right. So that's it. And totally up to you. Um, what you want to do with this, of course. But I just wanted to give you a little idea. What would happen next is, you would read your story. Uh, all of us that are there together, story, poem. We would all read our poems together. And then, it's up to you what you want to do with this. Do you want to continue to work on your poem and tweak it and work it and find a home for it in a journal somewhere that's publishing poetry? Do you have a Substack page where you publish your work and you want to get it ready to go there? Or is this just writing exercise for you? The prompt parties are just great spaces for whatever it is that you're looking to do. If you're looking to just get more content, you will come out with that. If you're looking to just get more practice, that will happen in real time. It really varies from writer to writer what happens with the things that are produced within the prompt parties. But there are a number of writers that have come to Stop Writing Alone prompt parties and had those things that they birthed there from a prompt on a topic that they never would have written about, find a home in a publication later on after they work on it. And I'm always so excited about that because I'll read a story or a poem and it'll be like, why does this sound so familiar to me? And I'll reach out to the writer and say, yeah, remember that was that writing prompt party. And then they'll say the prompt and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love where it went, and what you did with it. So yeah, enjoy and come on over to stopwritingalone.substack.com. The calendar of events is always on the front page for you, the current calendar of events. That's my printout right there of the January calendar events. And we still have stuff going on throughout the month. We have prompt parties, we have write-ins. And this month we have a number of discussions surrounding books that we're reading. One of them, I'm sure, no, is it here? Oh, it is here. So, getting ready for Critique Crew to come back. We are rereading Craft in the Real World for anyone that was in cohort 1 of Critique Crew. But if you are interested in getting into a community where we have these critique conversations around your work, centering you and your work and your audience, please pick up the book Craft in the Real World by Matthew Salis's. I think my copy's here. No, it's somewhere. It's always somewhere because I'm reading that again. But to sort of extend that, the people that were involved in Critique Crew cohort 1, we are diving into the anti-racist writing workshop, which is expanding upon that conversation. And really, I will say, and this is going off in a whole nother tangent from poetry pop parties, both of these books are written by professors for professors, and I recognize that we are not in an academic setting here and Stop Writing Alone. But these are two books that I have found that are at least engaging in the conversation of shifting the way that we talk about feedback and critique in a way that I really want to build in Stop Writing Alone. So for now, these are the model texts that we're leaning on. And I'm hoping as the years go on, we will see more texts that speak to lay people like us that are writers and want to have these same sort of conversations in our communities. Otherwise, we will start to build the vernacular within our group. And if you want to be a part of that, if you want to be a part of taking all of this higher education conversation into a place where it is useful to those of us that are writing from our respective spaces, then I really encourage you to check out the calendar. Those meetings are open to everybody. You do not have to be a paid subscriber to be a part of that conversation. I think they're very important reads. But please don't feel overwhelmed if you're like, whoa, I didn't do an MFA. This is not written for me. This is more for students. We will have those conversations in the chat about, what parts of the conversation relate to us and how we are going to translate it, so that it's more attainable for everybody as we are moving forward. So I'm really excited about that stuff. But again, join us over in Stop Writing Alone and see everything that's going on and find the meetings and the stuff that's going to best serve you in your writing, because that's the whole point of all this. And if you're a poet, thank you for joining me and getting some more prompts and some more poetry to get out into the world. I love my poets and I love my poetry. So keep on writing and share with us what you got. Otherwise, I will see you guys. I want to say I'll see you next week. I'll be back with a writing prompt every single Friday. I'm coming back with a new writing prompt for you. But in between, I'll be doing some more of these behind the scenes videos as well. So maybe it'll be earlier than a week away. I don't know. Just stay tuned and I'll see you later. Thank you. Head to stopwritingalone.substack.com to join today for more live events and writing inspiration all year round.